If you think only the devoted attend sacred ceremonies, think again. In today's compilation, you'll witness that even during the holiest rituals and divine gatherings, unexpected and mysterious figures can appear, ones that clearly don't belong. Let's explore these eerie moments captured during spiritual practices. During a prayer gathering at the Vatican Church in Rome, people looked up and froze. In one of the high-ceiling windows, a shadowy figure appeared. It looked like a shadow of a girl, standing still. People pulled out their phones to record, but within seconds, the figure vanished. At first, many thought it was a spirit sighting, but those familiar with the Vatican's hidden archives pointed to an older practice. Certain figures are rumored to be part of ancient surveillance methods used during specific ceremonies. Figure of Mosque. Was it an angel sighting or something else? Watch and decide. In Azerbaijan, inside a mosque, a man captured this unusual sight. It was a glowing figure shaped like a human. The figure was in a praying posture that did not flicker like sunlight, and clearly was not a phone glitch. The man called it an angel. But it is possible that it was something older. In places filled with decades of prayer, it's said that spiritual energy can collect and appear in human form. Maybe this wasn't a visitor from above, but a reflection of faith that never left the space. Pope's disappearance. On April 13th, 2020, a video posted from Michigan caught something that didn't sit right with many viewers. Pope Francis appeared at the window above St. Peter's Square, calmly waving, even though there was no one gathered below. He turned to walk back, but before he could step away, he vanished instantly. Some believe it was a digital glitch, but others pointed out how clean and sharp the disappearance was. It added fuel to old rumors about advanced projection tech being used during Vatican appearances, for reasons never fully explained. Wall of light. Next up, we have this clip recorded right when prayers were about to begin. In a church in Kenya, priests were preparing for the evening service when a soft glow lit up the wall behind them, just below the statue of Jesus. Slowly, it formed the shape of Mother Mary, and people started clapping and thanking the heavens for this sign. But priests couldn't ignore the timing. It appeared not during celebration, but just before prayer, as if it came to witness what hearts truly carried. They believe that such appearances come as reminders that every deed is still being seen. Wedding guest. Weddings bring people together, but sometimes not just from this world. Certain souls return for moments that were meaningful to them in life. During a wedding ceremony inside a church, everything was joyful until the cameraman noticed something strange in the footage. A man was sitting in the back, away from everyone else, talking to someone, but that someone wasn't fully there. It was a glowing figure, shaped like a person that lit softly like light itself. The man seemed calm, like he knew the figure well. What do you say about it? Watcher in window. In 2017, a video taken outside the chapel showed a dark, ghostly figure standing in a high window. It didn't move, didn't react, just watched the people walking below. No one knew who it was or how it got there. The figure clearly did not seem to be a person. Later, a father said that the chapel is famous for its countless stories of hidden rooms, silent rituals, and unspoken events. And the shadow might be the ghost of the priest who passed away mysteriously in one of those secret rituals. Final moments. At St. John Brebeuf Church in Niles, a funeral was being held when a soft glow appeared on the side wall. It slowly brightened, forming the shape of an angel with wings. No one in the room noticed it, but the security camera caught it. The figure stayed for only a short time, just until the final prayer ended. Later, the video was reviewed by the priest who believed that the person being honored must have lived a pure life. Unknown entity. It didn't walk in from the road, it appeared from the sky. Yes, you heard right. Witnesses say a strange figure showed up on top of a church building, then slowly floated down and stood near the church tomb. It held something in its hand and was spinning it in the air. This wasn't a ghostly visit. Believers thought that church tombs are gates between the living and the unseen. And when certain things are disturbed, these ancient figures return to guard again. Figure in white. During a spiritual retreat in Honduras, a group from an evangelical church was dancing together, dressed in matching clothes. But then, someone unexpected appeared. A woman in white walked into the center. She didn't join the dancing and moved straight through them. What's strange is that no one noticed her, as if she didn't exist, yet the camera saw her clearly. In some old beliefs, these ceremonies can open spiritual doors, so she might be a spirit drawn to the energy of the ritual. Baptism visitors. This rare footage comes from the 1980s. During a baptism ceremony led by priests, everything was calm until a mist appeared right in front of them. Then, shadowy figures began forming in the air, just above the water. The people recording saw it happen and started shouting with joy, and their cameras started to shake. They called it a blessing, but the priests believed that it was a moment when heaven opened for a second. After all, baptism is said to wash away the past. Maybe that's when the guardians come closest. Gray Lady. Next on the list is this clip that I leave up to you guys. Watch and decide whether it was the spirit of a former employee or a cursed artifact's energy. This was CCTV footage from a Christian museum that showed this gray figure walking through the empty exhibit hall. There was no staff, no visitors, just that shadow passing by the displays. Third hand. After staying for a few days in the hospital due to his health, when the Pope returned, the church filled with people eager to see him. He was sitting in a wheelchair and looked weak, but everything seemed normal until the video of the moment circulated online. As the Pope rested his hands in his lap, a third hand appeared. It didn't match the movement of either of his. Folks online said that it revealed an old belief that many world leaders hide spiritual attachments and are even protected or controlled by unseen forces. Church girl. In Estol, United Kingdom, a man was filming near an old church when his camera caught a strange sight. As he panned down, a girl appeared, standing at the corner of the church wall, peeking out just enough to be seen. But the moment she was spotted, she quickly pulled back. The man ran to check, but she was gone. Locals say a young girl once disappeared near that same church many years ago, and it is possible that this was her spirit that never left. Holy night. In moments like these, where faith and fear blend, sometimes what looks mysterious may just need understanding, not fear. This happened in Palestine when Tarawih prayers were taking place, and a young man suddenly collapsed. His body began shaking, and his movements were strange and uncontrolled. People nearby were startled, unsure if it was something medical or something spiritual. Some said it was magic, but if that was true, why don't we see it often during such gatherings? It was surely a medical condition like epilepsy. Angel sighting. Something unusual happened on October 5th, 2019, during a worship service at Vineyard Church of Anaheim. A few people claimed they saw a white figure fly over the crowd, but it happened so fast that they weren't sure. After the service, they asked security to check the footage. One camera had it, just for a second. A glowing figure with wings flew above the worshippers. It wasn't a bird. It didn't look human either. It was clearly an angel sighting caught on tape during a holy moment. Hidden prayer. It was supposed to be a normal day at St. Peter's Square in 2013. Pope Francis greeted visitors after Pentecost Mass. But then, this happened. As he reached a young man in a wheelchair, a priest leaned in to say something. The Pope's face turned serious. He placed both hands on the boy's head and recited a powerful prayer. The boy's mouth opened wide, and he exhaled sharply as if something had left his body. It looked like an exorcism, but the Vatican called it just a blessing. Why were they covering it up? Some people believe the Pope wasn't taking something out. He was keeping something in. They were hiding a darker truth the Church won't name. Scary bride. While exploring one of these abandoned churches, a YouTuber moved carefully through the dark with a flashlight. That's when he saw her, a figure in a white bridal dress sitting on a bench. At first, it looked like a woman to him, but when the light hit her face, it was pale and lifeless. That's when he ran. Later, locals shared an old story that years ago, a bride collapsed in that same church on her wedding day, and the ceremony never happened. And now she still returns every night, wearing the same dress, waiting for a moment that never came. Floating monk.
You have power of levitation.
When a magician can't explain what he sees, you know something is up. This magician, Dan White, experienced this. He met a Buddhist monk in Nepal known for something most only hear in stories. That is the power of levitation. At first, the monk was quiet. Then, with mantra and deep focus, his body started lifting off the ground. There was no support, no wires, nothing holding him. Dan was stunned, because this wasn't a trick. In some Buddhist practices, it's believed the mind can separate from the body through years of deep meditation. Child scream. A group of children was saying prayers with their teacher in a church. Everything was normal until one child suddenly screamed. It was a loud, sharp scream that went on for minutes, and the video ended right there. Old churches carry past energies, and children are more open to sensing things that adults can't. The child may have been frightened by something unseen and screamed like this. Figure at door. A woman in Brazil took a photo during a church service while standing on the altar. She didn't expect anything unusual, just a memory of the gathering. But when she later looked at the photo, something was there. At the church door, a mysterious creature stood still with a bent posture. The church was full of prayers and praise, but still, this evil-looking spirit from the unseen world was there. It showed that the battle between light and darkness happens even during worship. Tears of oil. In Hobbs, New Mexico, something happened inside a small church that no one expected but many had hoped for. During a regular Sunday Mass at the Catholic Church, a few people noticed something strange. The statue of the Virgin Mary had tears running down her face, but these weren't drops of water. They were thick, golden, like oil. Experts ruled out hidden pipes, condensation, and even tricks, but nothing explained it. In Catholic tradition, Mary's tears often appear when sorrow fills the world, and now many believe the tears were a silent message about the weight of our actions. Prayer moment. Some prayers don't just reach the skies, they push the darker energies to come out. This clip from 2015 showed it. During a group prayer in Saudi Arabia, a man bent forward with the rest, but suddenly, his body began to shake in a strange, unnatural way. As the sheikh's voice echoed through the mosque, the man dropped to the floor. The prayer continued, but the man remained on the floor. Later, the sheikh confirmed that a jinn had left his body during the recitation. Certain verses carry power not just to guide, but to break control of evil spirits and force them to leave the body of the person. Praying bag. A very strange clip has been going viral online. A man captured this plastic bag, seemingly moving with strange, calculated movements. It almost looked like someone was controlling it, but it was just a plain plastic bag. People online said it looked like the bag was offering prayer. Others were skeptical and thought maybe the wind was just hitting the right way to create this illusion. Let me know what you think of this. Unknown ritual. It looked like a regular church ritual where several popes stood in line outside an old cathedral door. But as the camera slowly zoomed in, the faces didn't match the setting. Their skin was pale with red, unblinking eyes. Then, after a few minutes, they started walking inside, and the video ended there. But that short moment raised a lot of troubling questions. These didn't look like humans at all, but figures used in hidden Vatican rituals said to involve lifelike replicas or controlled beings not meant to be seen up close. Glowing antenna. What if some cathedrals were never meant for prayer? In Poland, a video recorded in 2025 shows something strange. A glow appeared around the antenna on top of a church. It looked like some kind of energy source was active. When the clip was shared online, one comment stood out. 12 years ago, I told people why churches had antennas. They laughed. Now I teach ancient history. These churches were built to do more than worship. They were meant to connect with other worldly powers that we still don't fully understand. CERN mystery. This man witnessed something bizarre near the CERN grounds. It was always quiet until one night in 2022. Near the giant Shiva statue, he saw people in black cloaks standing around it. He hid nearby and started recording. Then, they removed one woman's cloak. She calmly walked to the center and lay on the ground. It looked eerily similar to a sacrificial ritual. The man's hands shook, his camera fumbled, and he ran in fear. CERN later called it a prank, but the footage is convincing enough that it was a real dark ritual by hidden groups trying to tear open portals. Not for science, but to invite evil forces. Angels or what?
Angels! Angels!
The upcoming clip will leave you questioning. Was it faith, energy, or something divine? It was September 13th, 2015, just a normal Sunday service, but something happened that day that many still talk about. As he prayed for those who struggled to believe, asking for their spiritual eyes to open, several people claimed to see glowing figures appear. They described the shapes as angels. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, and some people started crying, while some were frozen in shock. Those figures seemed to be there as a divine presence, giving everyone hope. Latin secret. On April 27, 2014, the Vatican held one of its grandest ceremonies, where two former popes were declared saints. The Pope allowed a live broadcast for the world to watch when priests in long robes chanted Latin prayers. But when someone closely translated a part of the chant, one word stood out: Lucifer. Lucifer matutino. According to some researchers, this wasn't just an old Latin phrase, it was a hidden message. And now the live broadcast made sense. It was a moment where the Vatican openly praised Lucifer and even declared him as God. It is possible that they were secretly calling Lucifer. Share your thoughts about it in the comments below. Capitol protest. In August, a group called the Satanic Temple unveiled a statue of Baphomet outside a U.S. state capitol. They called it a protest in response to another religious monument placed on government grounds. But the moment wasn't just about freedom of expression. Weeks later, the Satanic Temple was officially recognized as a church, and many people saw it as a shift, where something once considered dark now walks through legal doors, under the same protections as any faith. Strange ceremony. At Bethel Church, during a religious ceremony, people had gathered in peace, but one by one, they started acting strangely, moving in odd ways, speaking out loud, and some even collapsing into each other. At first, the priests thought it was emotion or exhaustion, but as it spread from person to person, they got worried. After reviewing the footage and speaking to witnesses, they knew that it was a wave of possession passing through the crowd. Throne of Shadows. Inside the main hall of the Vatican, the Pope delivered his most important messages seated before a towering sculpture, the Throne of Resurrection. It's meant to show Christ rising from chaos, but to many, it doesn't feel holy. It feels haunting. The twisting forms and hollow faces behind the Pope have drawn quiet concern for years. Then in 2018, this discovery came about the sculpture. It reveals a sharp, devil-like face and a faint 5-pointed star. Artists called it a coincidence, but conspiracy theorists see it as a hidden message. Either way, it's strange that the leader of faith sits daily in the shadow of that image. Open discussion. Today's open discussion features this clip from 2015. It was recorded during a U.S. bishops' meeting to which Pope Francis was invited. Everything was going with the flow when he placed an object on a table. Then, suddenly, he pulled the tablecloth in one quick motion. Strangely, nothing on the table moved. And after doing this, he gave a sinister smile that made him look creepy. It seemed like a clever trick. But the people who watch the footage closely think it wasn't a trick at all. In old Vatican texts, there's mention of an ancient ritual, La Tavola Bianca, the white table, where only a chosen one could command stillness through will alone. It was said to be tied to control over physical matter and contact with darker powers. What do you think? Comment below.